When the Berlin Wall fell, I was 7 years old, so I was too young to understand what was going on, but I certainly felt the excitement all around me.
It's difficult for me to convey how ecstatic I was and how complete a fulfillment it seemed to be of all that I had come to believe as a young man.
It was a magic moment, unquestionably, and huge sense of history, of course, huge sense that the tectonic plates really had shifted and the world was a different place.
The phone rang and it was Sydney, saying, we're getting stuff on the wires, saying that people are starting to climb up on the Berlin Wall. So I got dressed, I grabbed my gear, and it was indeed happening. People were chipping away at the wall with whatever they had, hammers, chisels. It was just amazing. The border guards, could have shot those people, but in the end they didn't.
Well, I was exhilarated. I had actually visited Berlin when the wall stood way back in 1965, and I had witnessed with my own eyes the extraordinary difference between modern, thriving West Berlin and drab, suppressed, fearful East Berlin. And I just thought it was one of those great moments. And in my view, it's the most transformative event the world has seen.
It's hard to describe the scene, but it was clear that the momentum had reached a stage where it wasn't going to be stopped.
I'd written an article saying, the Berlin Wall is crumbling, for one of the English newspapers, but the editor refused to publish it on the ground that I'd been listening to too many Ronald Reagan speeches. So when the wall fell, it was a wonderful moment, because all that we'd been saying suddenly came true.
I mean, the next morning, we started seeing the East German trabbies, the old cars that were the main form of transport in the East, tootling around the streets of West Berlin. We had the West Berlin government giving East Berliners who came across shopping vouchers. They didn't have any money.
I was actually one day in Berlin in 1989, and we actually got to stand at the wall and gape through a little hole, to see the other side.
I don't think I ever was in East Germany until I was an adult. I barely knew anybody from East Germany, so it certainly was a slow process.
It was, incredible time to be alive, because there was a sense that you could do big things.
I think even before the year was over, one sensed a wonderful reverse domino effect. All those fears during the Cold War had been that dominoes would fall in the wrong direction and more countries would go communist. And those fears were still alive at the beginning of the 1980s. So one has to remember how surprising its collapse was and how surprisingly peaceful it was.
These were times to be hopeful, and times now to look back on with a sense of hope about what the art of the possible is, rather than just a sense that the inevitability of conflict and chaos somewhere in the world.
To see the wall come down, to see what had appeared to us to be unchangeable features of the structure of the international system come apart so quickly, was an experience which changed the way you saw the world.